Hello and welcome. Today we're talking about playing your bass for the first time, and it's not going to be about playing your bass, it's going to be about setting your bass up. So it's definitely something that you need to do as soon as you get that baby home, get it out of the box, get it out of the case. You're going to have to set it up. You're going to have to adjust the action, you're going to have to tune it, you're going to have to make adjustments to your bridges and your bridge saddles and all that good stuff. So it's not going to be just pull out the box and just play it, because there's going to be some adjustments that need to be done, and that's what you're going to learn today. So I'm glad to help you with that. And if you're new to my channel here, I'm Donald Witt, the bass instructor of the How to Play Bass online course at iwannaplaybass.com. And also, this is I Wanna Play Bass, your YouTube channel for all bass guitar tips and all kinds of gear review and stuff like that. So a lot of good stuff here. So subscribe, hit that bell notification, get in the loop, and don't miss a beat. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to break this puppy down, and I'm going to show you how to make some of the adjustments. And today we're going to talk about just the adjustments on the fret nut, okay? Because sometimes they'll come, it depends on how much money you spent on your bass. If you got a low grade, low budget bass, then you can make these adjustments to make it just feel as good as some of the higher end. But if you spent the money on the higher end, sometimes you still have to make these adjustments just because it's subjective to you. It's how you like to play the bass. But sometimes the higher end ones, the adjustments aren't as major as some of the lower end ones. So like I said, the fret nut, it's not a major adjustment. It's something you got to just be a little careful with when you're adjusting this bad boy, but that's what you'll get out of today. So stick around. All right, so hold on tight. I'm going to take the strings off and I'll be back. All right, so we've got the strings off, and while you do this, you want to definitely go ahead and clean this thing. And I usually do it every time I change the strings, just depending on how much I've played. I'll clean everything up, because you don't want a bunch of dust and grit down in your pickups and stuff like that. So we clean that all up periodically, and it's just a good time to do it. Now if this was this is the Pufferow fretboard, so it's not the wood and everything, but if it was the wood, you'd want to get an oil, and sometimes an oil, depending on what it is, maple or rosewood, and depending on what it is, just how you want to clean it. Okay. And then just go over and check your frets and everything. Like I say, if it's a new bass, you want to check your frets. You want to have it leveled, have them leveled out and crowned if needed. And I'll leave another video for that in the future. So, subscribe, definitely hit that bell notification, get in the loop, and don't miss a beat, okay? So, but today we're just talking about the fret nut. Now I noticed this bass wasn't the high-end bass. It was, maybe $300-400. So it's the Squier Jazz bass. It's the lower end of the Fender. It's a great bass, though. I've been playing for a long time, and I've recommended it to tons of people. So it's definitely a great bass to have. But I've noticed that I think the fret nut's just a little bit too high. So and this is our fret nut right here. Don't mind my finger; it's still healing. It's just right there. So just be a little careful when you're pulling this bad boy out, because they can break, but you can get another one. It's not, it's not detrimental or anything, but it's going to set you back a day or so before you can get another one. But, so you just take this bad boy out of there. I just, get the right tools, but I got my handy dandy buck knife. So I'll just take it out. And usually it's not too bad. They pop right out of there. So there it is. There's our fret nut right there. You see, it just sits down in a groove. There's just a groove right in there, and I'll clean that out. There's usually just a little bit of wood glue they use, just a dab on the back of that, which I can see it on there. You can see that. There's just a little bit of wood glue, but I've got about 120 grit sandpaper here. And the best way to do that is to be even about it, is to, I'll talk about that in a second. But so we'll just clean out this groove here, allow that gunk out of there. And like I say, just be careful with it. You definitely don't want to dig this groove deeper and then shave down your fret nut, because then it's going to be too low. Then you're going to have to add to it, which I've seen in the past, and I've done that as well. Just get that glue out of there. careful, don't cut your fingers. You don't want to cut a finger while you're working on your bass. You can't play, then you're out of commission. So just be careful. That's pretty good. It's usually not bad. Just a little bit of glue. So I think we're good there. So sit that bad boy down, let it rest. And now what we do here is just take it. You've got your sandpaper on a flat surface, right? Which I've got right here. I'm not moving my camera as I'll have to readjust it. So just want to sit it down on there, and you're just going to lay this flat down on that flat surface and just sand the backside just a little bit. Don't want much. And you want it to be even across there. So that's why you just lay it down there flatly like that, because you don't want it uneven. You don't want to wear one side out more than the other. So that's why you just want to sit it down flat on a flat surface and just run it back and forth. Just, be patient with it. Don't force it. Just grab it right there. Grab it in the center right there and push down to where you're still putting pressure on the center, and then these two are just laying flat. That, just a little bit of pressure. Maybe a little more. Alright, that's all I'm going to do. And if you didn't notice, your fret nut's got this is a 5-string, so you got 5 slots. And this, pay attention, because your bigger slots for your bigger strings and down to your smaller slots, okay? Alright, so when you go put this bad boy in, you just put a little tiny dab of wood glue, because your strings are going to hold it in place anyway. So you don't want a bunch of glue coming out, and you want it to be easy that you can pull it out again if you need to. So don't, just a little dab just to get it to snug up in there, and you're fine. Most of the time the groove is nice and fits, so you don't even really need it. But if you want to go ahead, just put a little dab. I usually do that, and I'll do that now. Just put a little dab in there. And just run a little bead across the back, just a tiny bit, and just rub it down. And just set her back in place. And wipe any residual glue off. You don't want it all over your neck. You just don't look good. You still give it a little tap so it gets lined up, because it'll fit right in there. Like I say, you really don't even need glue. That's good. So that'll help you out getting your action straight with it. And like I say, most people like their action a little lower. We don't want it real high, but you don't want it too low either, because then it's just a lot of rattling and everything like that. So let me I'm gonna go ahead and wipe this down and put the strings back on, and then we'll give it a play. Alright, one other thing you can do, I went ahead and pulled the fret nut back out, is you can check your frets for crowning. Since it's a new bass to you, check that. And I forgot about it, I've done it before, but I'll show you how to do it. This bass is in pretty good shape now. But get you a straight edge. Got my drywall square here. You take your fret nut back out so you can just have your straight edge right on the frets. Okay? You just sit it there. Hopefully you can see better than I can. But as I get older, my eyes get worse, which that's not unusual. So you just take it and you just eyeball it. You take it, you're touching the top fret and you're down to the bottom fret, and you're just making sure that there's no huge gaps between your frets and the straight edge. A slight gap's alright, but you want to make sure there's no big gaps to where if you might have a fret that needs crowning, as in taking some off of it. And as you play through the years, the frets get wore out, so it takes every now and it's not a bad idea to just crown them. Get your crowning tool and go down and just crown them. Just shave a little bit off. Not all of them, just the ones that are real bad. They get dented and dimpled from your string and everything. But like I say, just go down. Just put your straight edge there on the frets and just look for gaps. I know you can't see that, but maybe you can zoom in. But you can definitely tell. That's how you tell whether you need a fret job or not. So let me put my fret nut back in here. All right. Just a little bit of glue. Glad I didn't wait. Glad I thought about that in due time. But that's how you check your frets for crowning. Make sure they're all nice and smooth. That's it. So she's all wiped up. I'm going to string her up real quick. Yep. She's strung back up, and let me tune it real quick. Only then when you take all the strings off, your neck gets tweaked again. So it'll almost be something. I'll dig into how to adjust your truss rod too, as well. But that's usually when I change strings, I take one string off at a time. But like I say, periodically I take it off and get the whole thing cleaned up like it should be, and then the neck will have a tendency. Right now, the tension on the strings pulling the neck this way. So when you take the neck, you can hear it when you take all the strings off. It kind of pops a little bit. That is settling back into into its comfort zone. So when you go back and tune it, it takes a little longer to tune it because once you pull them all back tight, you got to retune them all. So just like I say, patience is the biggest thing. And this bead's going to be fun. Surprisingly, wasn't that far off. Feels better already. Just that little adjustment from that being like a credit card thickness is about all it was. I had to take off, and it made the biggest difference, especially up here. I was working. It was like, this does not feel right. So it makes a big difference. Believe it. Just a minute adjustment makes the biggest difference. So if you feel like it's just too high and you can't get your action lowered down here with a lot of rattling, you can't get the adjustment right, check out your fret nut. Look at that first. See if it looks like it's way high, then that might be your best place to start. Just be careful with it. You don't want to take too much off the backside of those because they break easily, and they can break. And especially if you take too much off them and you're putting the pressure up on it, they can sometimes break there as well. So just something to be aware of, be a little conscious of. They're not, you can break this bad boys, and then you're in a little bit of a trouble. As long as you don't break it somehow at a gig, some reason you don't want to make those adjustments during a gig or before a gig. You want to do it the day before, or just have it ready. Give yourself plenty of time to things to get settled in before you go playing a gig with it, okay? Or making changes before that. So, hope you got some value out of this. If you did, help me help you. Mash that like button. I'll catch y'all on the flip-flop in the next video. So, bye for now.